most honored guests. I gave my first icebreaker in Stuttgart, Germany in 2007. And the reason I joined Toastmasters was not to improve my public speaking. The reason I joined Toastmasters was not for leadership skills. The reason I joined Toastmasters is because I wanted to make friends who spoke English, not associated with a military base. When I began this journey, I had no idea where it would take me. But one of the things I learned was everyone has a story, and those stories can impact your heart. When I was in Stuttgart, Germany, one of the speeches that has always resonated with me was a gentleman who gave a speech about love and hate. And he said hate is not the opposite of love. Hate's up here. Really, it's ambivalence. It really changed my perception of people. And it's amazing how just a 5 to 7 minute speech can impact your life. When I left Stuttgart, Germany, I moved back to the United States to Colorado Springs. When I went to Colorado Springs, I joined another Toastmasters club. What I discovered from Toastmasters is that Toastmasters wasn't just in Germany or Colorado Springs. Toastmasters is everywhere around the world. And whenever you go on a trip, which hopefully we'll do after this pandemic ends, you have an amazing opportunity to meet other Toastmasters. Whenever I would travel, I would look up a new club and I would ask if I could visit the club. Toastmasters are the most welcoming people in the entire world, and they always say yes. One time when I went to Sweden, I looked up the local club and they said, "Oh, we're off cycle right now. We'll tell you what, we're going to have a special dinner just for you." When we had the dinner, we did this impromptu speaking, which is something a lot of people want to get better at. And we would look at the menu and we'd say, "Oh my, Anders, why is it that you decided to order the mussels?" And he said, "Well, let me give you 3 reasons." It was so super fun. Another time I'm in Kansas, and the only thing other than corn in Kansas is Toastmasters. I met the most welcoming Toastmasters when I was there for a 3-month trip. It was so fantastic. I was invited to barbecues and picnics and over to people's houses. Meanwhile, everybody else who was in my little group was like, "Oh, Kansas is terrible. There's nothing to do here." And I was like, "You should join Toastmasters." 2 people joined Toastmasters on that trip. It was so fantastic. One of the other things about the Colorado Springs Club was one of the oldest clubs in the country, Club 555, which when you know the Toastmasters numbers, it's like a really small number. And I met one of the most senior Toastmasters I'd ever met in my entire life. He was this African-American gentleman, and he gave the most profound speech. He spoke about how in the 70s, he'd been a Toastmaster before women could join. And how as an African-American man, he felt so bad about it. But he felt afraid to speak out because he felt his own situation was somewhat perilous. 40 years later, he gave this speech with tears running down his face. And I think of that story and how courageous he was to share it with us now in modern times. Then I went back to Germany again. And like many Toastmasters, I discovered, oh no, Pathways is on the way. And I've been somewhat coasting along in my Toastmasters journey, and I found out, oh no, you have to get your stuff together if you want to achieve your DTM, your Distinguished Toastmaster Award. So I needed to found a club. I ended up founding a club in my local village, and it was a German-speaking club. My German is pretty terrible, but I helped out with the sponsorship, I attended the meetings, I did a lot of recruitment, and I really relied on Google Translate. One of the stories that impacted me the most in that club was a speech about Schnitzel für mein Hund, which is basically Schnitzel, which is a form of meat in Germany, for my dog. The story was about this elderly man, and he would go around the end of the restaurant at the end of the evening and ask people for scraps of Schnitzel for his dog. What the owner found out is it wasn't really for his dog. It was really for him. So the owner started putting little schnitzels in a package and claiming, oh no, I accidentally cooked an extra schnitzel. Would you please take this home for your dog? I have discovered through this journey that Toastmasters are the most giving, loving people all over the world. And as I joined Salt Toastmasters, Ralph rallied everyone around me so I could finish my HPL, so that I could get to this point today as a distinguished Toastmaster and start my new pathway. And as I give this icebreaker, I realize I'm really in that same place. It's great to improve public speaking. It is really great to improve your leadership. But to be connected to so many amazing people, especially right now when we need it more than ever, that's what I hope to continue doing.